Hi there, everybody. I'm John Thompson. I'm the founder and lead advisor at Simple Mortgage. And today we're chatting with Vanessa Burnett, who's a certified financial planner with Bridge Advisory. So we've done quite a bit of work together over the last couple of years and become friends. She's the COO and Chief Operating Officer at Bridge Advisory, and also is a planner herself, works with clients individually and does a fantastic job. And just a quick background, I'll have her say more about herself. She's also a Trojan, so that's, for me personally, very important. So thank you very much. But anyway, Vanessa, I do want to start off with kind of the question that I like to ask everybody. And so what are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for right now? Anything?
Honestly, like top of mind, I'm grateful for a great team. We've onboarded 3 new people this year, and we're all like really getting to know one another, and the team's gelling really nicely. We have offices in Pasadena and Newport Beach, and I was in Newport yesterday, and we have 2 new advisors down there, and got to hang out. So I'm really grateful for like new team members with new energy and new ideas. Yeah, so that's of fun. Number 1 on my list.
Well, congratulations. I know you guys are kind of in growth mode. And there's always, positive things and challenges that come about with sort of onboarding new people. And I guess on that note, and do you guys have you developed a really specific process for getting someone integrated into your culture? I mean, how do you think about that?
Yeah, we're working on the process, and it's sort of constantly being, reviewed and, kick the tires on all that. But yeah, we do have a very thoughtful process first and foremost around hiring, and culture is like top of our list. So, certainly we do pre-vetting and pre-screening and all sort of the basic interview, pieces and components. But then a very key part of our hiring process is introduction to each of our team members. And we really incorporate them into the hiring process to allow them to, feel like they also have a say in who they get to work with. And, we're a small team. We're about 18 to 20 employees total. And so we want people to enjoy who they work with and get along with them and have shared interests, whether it be, pets or hiking or sports or things like that. We want to bring people to the team that enjoy being with us.
Yeah, no, that's neat. I mean, our team is, sort of 4 or 5 people right now, and sort of bringing people on can be a challenge, constantly learning as well. So, and I'd agree, sort of the when we brought new people on, quite frankly, I've had my wife interview people. I've had my business partners talk to people. I've had them talk to the front desk people. I mean, you learn a lot about people by having them chat with different, and everyone's got a different perspective, right? So it's been kind of a fun way of seeing it. So thank you. So tell me, so why did you become an advisor, a financial planner? Give me a little background on Vanessa and why you're passionate about this work.
Yeah. So as you said, I went to SC, and right out of college, I started working for a consulting company, Mercer, and I was an analyst. And I was just talking to a colleague this morning about the fact that I felt like it really gave me like business 101, because I was just reading 10Ks and 10Qs and doing analysis and deep dives into the underbelly of how businesses work and where profits come from and all of that. And it was great. And I got a great, insight into, let's say, publicly traded companies predominantly, but just how businesses run. And it was fun, bi-coastal clients in New York and San Francisco, and did that whole thing. But I burnt out fairly quickly. And so really what brought me into the world of personal finance was, somebody that I grew up with that approached me, actually at a UCLA football game. And cause my mom's a Bruin. And so we used to go to the games, and he just thought that I would really enjoy the work. And so really what drove me into the business in general was my interest in working with people. I'm extremely extroverted. I love people. I get energy from being around people, and I love relationship building and kind of live my life that way. And so I was able to kind of see, oh my gosh, I could incorporate all of that in the modality of finance and be helpful and have these great relationships with families and small business owners and things like that. So I joined in '08, and I've basically worn a zillion hats from the very bottom all the way, to now being, chief operating officer and a partner, and I love it.
That's neat. I'm sure I know the answer to this, but having that skill set across all the different positions, I'm assuming has helped you in your just conversation with the clients, just understanding where they're all coming from. And you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's honestly one of the things that I tell anyone that wants to get into the business is I think it's so important to start honestly like from the app stage, because clients are looking to you as their trusted advisor. And if you don't have that background, I think there's sort of an erosion of trust right out the gate. And so I think that's allowed me to really have, deep trusted relationships with my clients. And it's not fun to do paperwork necessarily, but you really understand the entire process from soup to nuts. And so I thankfully don't have to do that anymore, but I have the background in it, and certainly like you can then have that knowledge that builds. And now my conversations can live in a space that is, interesting and challenging, but always in that context. Yeah.
Neat. Well, thank you. So maybe give me a little bit of an idea, just first on the structure of Bridge Advisory, and then sort of what maybe your personal focus is, in terms of how you're finding clients and what part of the business you really like and sort of the planning side of it. But it's Bridge, and then a little bit about you.
Sure. So the firm is sort of what we call a mass affluent registered investment advisor, RIA. And we're about 500 million under management, and I manage about 250 million of that. And so because of that size, we're structured in teams to, obviously be able to scale. So we have senior advisors and then support advisors that every one of our clients knows is available. So the support advisors are also certified financial planners. They've, most of them have been in the business for 5+ years, and they, do all of our comprehensive financial planning. So we do financial planning for all of our clients, unless they absolutely tell us no, but we do that. And then that springboards into the investment advice and the asset management, which we also run portfolios in-house through our investment committee. So, my specialty, really, I don't have a specific niche of client, but most of my clients are families. And because I'm sort of part of the succession plan of the firm, I'm taking on a lot of our president and CEO's client relationships. And so as that goes on, most of them, I would say, either own small businesses or, are executives within their space, and they're kind of at or near retirement. About 60% of our clients are in retirement taking income. So we really specialize in, income strategies and tax management strategies, both until and through retirement. And we coordinate with specialists like their tax advisor, their CPA, their estate attorneys, their insurance agents, things like that. So we kind of wrap all of those around, and we are the quarterback for, for all of their financial needs. And so to me, I get my most excitement and, feel the most valuable when I'm able to like put all of those pieces together and show the client, their pathway through retirement, and also to show them, hey, we're really able to either protect you in these ways or save you, money in these ways, and certainly grow your assets. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I can say, just at a personal level, I've experienced sort of the process of how you bring together sort of all this team, and maybe for lack of a better word, I'll call it a wealth team, the other resources they need around them. So you guys have done a wonderful job with that.
Thank you. And certainly you're part of that. We've done so much planning, and I know maybe we'll get into this, but planning around how to preserve a client's assets by using, lending opportunities to access capital in more tax advantageous ways and things like that.
Well, thank you. That I appreciate that. You mentioned mass affluent. Could you define what mass affluent means to you guys?
Yeah. So to us, it's sort of that 1 to 5 million of liquid portfolio assets. and then maybe net worth of 5 to 10 million. And really, we started in the business in the 60s doing pre-retirement seminars for Boeing and Lockheed clients. We have a lot of engineers, and we have third and fourth generation clients. And so, we've kind of helped them grow their wealth along the way, and then certainly pass that on to future generations and preserve it. And so, I think the mass affluent world has certainly expanded in size because, we live in California, and a lot of our clients have owned real estate that they, either still own or have sold, and, been able to create liquidity in that way. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So what are you kind of working on right now? What's working for you? What's happening in the business? What's your area of focus as well right now? What's happening?
Yeah. I think 2023, just speaking from Bridge Advisory, we have been hyper-focused on growth. And my role in that has been really primarily, certainly to attract, new clients. And so, I try to stay really connected to the community. I'm on a board here locally for the Elizabeth House in Pasadena, and I really try to network within that community, within, our church community, things like that, to bring in new clients. And about 50% of our client referrals come from existing clients. Okay, and great. So that's certainly a main piece. But also to support that growth, we've wanted to attract and retain, new talent. And so, as I mentioned, we've onboarded 3 new advisors this year, and that's gone really, really well. And we're really excited. They've been great cultural fits. We take our time in hiring, but I think that that's important. And, so far that's been really successful and very exciting, not only for the growth of the, assets under management, but also for the energy and, the sort of way that we're able to motivate one another. I've been here for 15 years. So, you can kind of maybe get a little bit set in your ways, and bringing on new people brings new perspectives, new thought processes. It kicks the tires on existing, even like operations and workflows and things, and has really brought about, great motivation within the team. So what's working for me is in that space of recruiting, honestly, is LinkedIn has been phenomenal. I make it kind of a pattern for me to check in on it at least, 2-3 times a week. And then through that, I've been able to make connections with, mutual connections, Suzanne Lawrence. She's a recruiter who has brought us a lot of great talent opportunities, and just other people that, we have mutual, connections in common. So that LinkedIn has been a hugely powerful tool for me this year.
So I'm glad to hear that. So maybe let's talk a little bit more about LinkedIn. And so when you say check in, what is it you're doing? What do you feel comfortable sharing? Maybe our audience says, okay, this is my process I'm following, and this is the results I'm getting from it. So give me an example of what checking in means.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we've used it as a job posting tool. And so I've been able to take our job posts that maybe I would post on Indeed or career.com or whatever in the past, and post it on LinkedIn. And then it also has a feature where you can promote it for, a relatively minimal amount of dollars. So we've been setting, some budgets around promoting it. And I think that is really working to get the jobs to the right types of people. It also has like a screening tool. So I can set parameters of, qualifications that are absolutely must-haves, because, for instance, for one of our senior advisor positions, we had over 250 applicants. Oh, wow. And, it's just me, and I'm certainly not a recruiter.
Yeah.
I mean, I wear that hat, but that's not my primary function. And so that's been helpful. So first and foremost, we have kind of just like ongoing job postings that I'm checking in on. And then from there, I think the other thing that I try to do is go to the page. I don't remember what it says. It's just like other team members, or my network, and it gives suggestions of, people to connect with. And I think, when you're out in the community and you're meeting new people, you forget that, oh, wait, I could take it a step further and reconnect and say, hey, it was so good to see you last week at that event. Let's get coffee sometime. So that's the other thing that's working. Just saying yes to those, coffee dates, lunch dates that, I think we got out of the habit of doing that in COVID. And that's been really fruitful for me over the last 3 weeks or so. I've had 3 different coffees that have turned into introductions with either other advisors or clients in the community. So
it's kind of a combination of sort of the digital and the old school, just getting out and belly to belly, as they used to call it, right?
Shaking hands and saying hi. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's going to continue to work, right? Do you use the LinkedIn Sales Navigator? Is that a tool that you guys have? Are you familiar with it?
No, I've seen it. I've never engaged with it. I know there's so many more levels of LinkedIn, and I have read some books on it.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll save that for another conversation.
Yeah.
So not a big deal. You shared with me in a conversation a while ago, there's sort of some really, I think, kind of unique ideas that you are doing sort of for this growth kind of stuff. A Solicitor RIA, I believe it is, and the sports side of the business. If you want to share some of those ideas, I think they're fantastic.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing you mentioned, it's called a Solicitor's RIA. And really what this is it's an entity that allows us to add partners to, and partners that are non-registered. So as you may be aware, or whoever's watching this, in order to receive sort of a solicitor's fee for referring a client to a wealth manager, you have to be registered, Series 7 license, or otherwise. And so to get around that, we've created this entity where you can become a member, and we can flow revenues through there. And, of course, we disclose it to the client. And by becoming a member, you can share in the profits. So it's not an actual, revenue share directly from the fee, but if it's a profits distribution, and effectively it functions in that same way. So it's worked great. I mean, we've added CPA firms, we've added bookkeepers, we've added insurance agents, both on the property and casualty side and the life side. So it's a way for people to, who want to disclose that to their clients, get paid for the, relationships that they're passing along.
Cool. Well, thank you. There's also, you guys have done some work sort of around going into sort of the sports, what to call it, sports business, right? So
so it's sort of interesting, and I love it because I have grown up loving sports and playing all sorts of sports. My final sport was volleyball, but I grew up playing basketball and soccer and swimming and you name it, softball as well. But so our president and CEO played professional baseball for about 7 or 8 years after graduating from UCLA, within the St. Louis Cardinals organization. And that was in the 70s. And when he got out of that, he became a CFP and really had visions of bridging the gap between a professional athlete and their agent, who obviously negotiates their contract, but isn't necessarily qualified or having the right skill set to give investment advice. And so, as he admittedly discusses, he tried and failed because there was no social media, there was no internet, there was just him standing in hotel lobbies waiting for players. So fast forward, he has been a part owner in a sports agency specializing in baseball players for the better part of 20 plus years. And now we are able to set up an entity. It's called Bridge Sports Wealth. It's just a division of Bridge Advisory that provides financial planning and wealth management for those professional baseball players. And we do have a few other types of athletes as well. So it's really exciting. It's just getting started, but we're building out. A lot of these players need tax advice and business structure setup and things like that they just don't get from their agent. And so we're able to come alongside them in the early years of their career before the income really takes off, to make sure that it's set up properly for both on and off field income, and help coordinate, and then certainly help manage the assets that they're able to generate and grow.
It's neat. Kind of, I'm thinking of, NIL, name, image, and likeness, right? That's just exploded on the scene in college football and other college sports kind of across the country just in the last 12, 18, 24 months, right? And there's going to be probably a huge opportunity around that to sort of also engage with athletes, because it's going to be the same problem, right? They're not going to have good advice, and they're going to be suddenly getting their hands on a lot of money and may not have the background to be able to manage that money effectively.
And that starts even before their professional career, right?
Exactly.
So they're still in college getting potentially large amounts of off-field, income and, needing advice for how to best set it up and what tax structure. And, hey, you can set up a 401k and defer into that and not pay tax on that money because you don't need it right now.
Exactly.
And so, that's where we're really, expecting to see a lot of growth. And certainly it's fun to have, access to players that are doing neat things in the sports world.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's neat. One of the things I've been talking to people a lot about lately, and I've done a handful of presentations around artificial intelligence, which I call additional intelligence, right? So it's created a lot of, efficiencies in our business and sort of ways of getting content out. I think you've started to look at some AI type of stuff in your business. Is there anything you want to share around that might be interesting to other advisors?
Yeah, I mean, I've used it from everything from, hey, I need help drafting, maybe an email to a client, or even, to ask questions of a fund manager, whatever, to, there are very powerful tools now that will help you analyze, certain sectors of the market, or, certainly different investments as well. I think we're just scratching the surface on where this is going to take us. And, again, I think there's the scary side of AI, but the practical side is so useful. I mean, like I said, I've used it for internal processes. I've used it for Excel. So I have an analyst background, and I do Excel, and that was kind of my life for a long period of time, but so much has changed. And so there's tools and add-ons, that you can download that have been really helpful to set up different templates for, revenue tracking and things like that have been really helpful too. So, we have a new chief investment officer that we're really excited about bringing on board. And he also is really excited about AI and where it's going to be able to take us, kind of,
neat. I think it's amazing. I mean, I think I agree with you. We've just scratched the surface of it. And I certainly can't proclaim to be any kind of an expert in it. I think we've just started really using it. My team's really done most of the work around it, but I can already see how it's going to, really, again, create efficiencies and do things you never thought it could do. And it really is amazing.
I mean, it's a time saver first and foremost. And that's just the, number one thing that I've been able to see is it's saved a lot of time, and certainly communications that used to take me, a lot of time and thought. And not to say that I just take it and use it. I've edited it and things like that, but it creates these bare bones, communication tools. So
I think that's well said. I mean, I tell people it's going to get you 80% of the way there, and then you need to take whatever you're generating, whether it's a document, or if it's an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it is, or even an image, right? And then you got to make it your own from there.
Exactly.
Put the Vanessa spin on it, the John spin, or whatever makes it unique to you, and so forth. Well,
we're still needed. We're still needed.
No, absolutely. No, I don't think we're going anywhere. If anything, I think that advisors in all areas, will become more valuable. But I do tell people, if you're not paying attention to AI, someone who's going to get better using AI than you may run you over. Right. And I hate to say it that way, but it's always been that way. People that learn new tools and learn how to leverage tools will have an advantage, fair or unfair. It's just an advantage. And so, learn about AI. You don't have to be an expert. Just know that it's out there and start to kind of work it into your workflows. And I think you'll be
absolutely.
So neat. So talking about the way we work together, obviously you mentioned it just briefly. we're obviously in the mortgage space, and we help people with strategies around how do we effectively use equity to accomplish other financial goals. I really view what we do as planning from the liability side of the balance sheet. And we've done some work together, which has been great. And so thank you for that. One of the things that I have a particular passion around is around reverse mortgages. Reverse mortgages have typically had sort of a bad rep in the world, outside world, and I'm sort of constantly fighting against that bias. But I think for the most part, you guys are where it fits, it fits. I mean, could you share your experience working with me on some of those strategies?
Absolutely.
I think it'd be valuable. So thank you.
Yeah. So again, the way that we approach all of our relationships with clients is from a planning lens. And a lot of that has to do with how to most effectively distribute income to clients on a tax advantaged way. And as we all know, clients have RMDs. Once they hit, a certain age, it was 72. Now it's moving to 75. And most clients, when they reach retirement age, not all, but many, their largest assets are their retirement plan and their home. Yep. And so, of course, everything from a retirement plan is tax deferred, which means that anything you pull is going to be 100% taxable. And then once you get into those RMD years, there's really not a lot you can do to avoid taking that RMD. And so in those years, maybe between retirement and the RMD age, we try to do a lot of planning to maybe convert to Roth or, do some other strategies to get some of that out so the RMDs aren't as high. But then certainly when you get into those later years in retirement, we are trying to think of creative ways to allow that liquid portfolio to last as long as possible, knowing that their home is their largest asset. And most times there's either a small mortgage or no mortgage left. And so what we've been able to do with you, and I love the way that you approach the lending business as well, is from a planning standpoint. So we use a system called eMoney, and we run all these projections through there. So we're able to show a client how much tax they can save and how long they can extend their portfolio life from using a reverse mortgage. And again, like you said, a lot of this is education, because everything coming out of like the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s was like, no, reverse mortgage, they're going to take my parents' home. They're going to, have this loan that we're going to have to repay. And so a lot of it is about like re-education. Certainly, we've been in a different interest rate environment over the last year and a half than we were prior. So that's an uphill battle currently, but I still think it's such a powerful tool to show how to extend liquidity and save taxes. Because of course, all that equity comes out of the home tax-free. Yep. And all you're really paying for is, the accrued loan balance over time.
Sure. So. Well, that's well said. I think one of the common misconceptions is that, sort of using the IRA money or the retirement money along with a reverse mortgage, ultimately is going to burn through all the home equity and so forth. And in reality, if it's used through a plan and you pull from one or the other, depending on what's happening in the marketplace, you can actually extend or maybe even increase the value of the asset, of the IRA and the retirement money. It's a matter of doing the analysis and seeing where it is. And there's a case study that we did, which I called the IRA stretch, which was actually based on a case that we did together. So I'll post that kind of in the notes later on if anyone wants to learn a little bit more about it, but I'll put that out there as well.
That's great. You and I have had a lot of success with that type of a product.
It's been a blessing, and I appreciate that opportunity and the fact that you've embraced it. And I hope that as the good word gets out there, more and more people will, specifically to the reverse mortgage, understand that it's just a tool. It doesn't work for everyone, but where it can work very well. So thank you. Well, we're almost done with our time together. I want to maybe give you the last word and say, is there anything that you would like to maybe share with the audience, other advisors, some words of advice or final good thoughts to make the world a better place?
No pressure, man, right? That is like very challenging. Kind of the way we started out. I think what allows, everyone to enjoy what they do is focusing on what they're grateful for. So I think that's what I try to focus on in my life. And even if that's just like, hey, I woke up and both of my kids are healthy and they get to go to school today, then that's great. But yeah, focusing on what we're grateful for, and I know that there's so much noise right now in the industry and in politics and in our economy. Both domestically and globally, it gets really overwhelming. And so this is something I talk to my clients about a lot, and even my team is, it's nothing new, but there's things that matter and things you can control. And if you spend your time focusing only on the things that matter that you can't control, or only on the things that you can control but that really don't matter at all, you're going to just have this waste of time and probably a lack of purpose in your life. But if you focus on the center of that, then I think you can have a lot to be purposeful about in your life and grateful for. So yeah.
That's great. That's a very, very stoic approach. If you don't realize it, you may not realize that. But sure, focusing on what you can control and ignoring the rest is a hard skill. But you just kind of think about it. Well, anyway, but I'm grateful for you, Vanessa. Thank you for your time today, and look forward to chatting with you soon. So thanks, everybody,
Thanks, John.
Tune in again soon.